Hello and welcome to our post-match show after a 2-1 defeat against Bristol City. I'm delighted to be joined by former Huddersfield Town players Ben Thornley and Marcus Stewart. How are you both? You both okay?
Very good, thanks.
Nice to see you again.
I hadn't seen Ben for, what, 10 years?
Easy, yeah. I was actually, I said to Sam earlier, I was actually quite excited when he told me that Stewie was coming on.
And actually vice versa, because I think I texted you, Adam, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I'll send you the text later on, but it was something along the lines of, love Ben. That was it. And then we went on to a conversation.
I used exactly the same word. So there you go.
There you go. See, a perfect match. Well, let's get talking about the game. Obviously, Ben, not the result we wanted at Huddersfield Town. What do you think went wrong?
Well, I mean, when you hark back to, I mean, I didn't see the game against Preston, but it's the second time in 3 games, I think it is, that Huddersfield have had a lead at half time and then thrown. That could quite easily have been 4 or 5 all, but they just didn't take the chances. And Naki Wells today, an ex-player of yours that I'm sure you would have been slightly worried about. He was again well off the boil. Huddersfield well in control in the first half. It was architected by Bristol City with the same guys jumping for the header, and I think it was Tommy Rowe who's jumped for the header, and he's not made it, and the space that he's vacated and Benzer's been played in, and then he had to do 3 things and he did them all perfectly. He had to make sure that the weight of the pass was right. He had to miss out the 3 defenders. Karoma need to make sure he didn't run offside, and then he put the finish away brilliantly. And I thought that Huddersfield in the first half were deserved leaders because Bristol never offered anything apart from that one sort of lucky shot really from Wells that hit the bar.
Marcus, obviously then second half, we came out, looked in control probably the first 10, 15 minutes or so. It was almost after the hour mark, wasn't it, where Bristol City, when they brought on Semenyo as well, that's when they really gained control of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did. I mean, Bristol City went 4-3-3, brought Deju on, and had Naki Wells and Martin up front, and kind of went for it a little bit, really. But I thought for the first 5 minutes, they didn't really offer anything after those subs were made. Huddersfield looked pretty comfortable. Bristol City lost their shape a bit. The game opened up a little bit more. But then the goal changed things. I think Semenyo, when he came on, he made a bit of a difference in terms of a substitution. That's what you want to happen. There wasn't very many. I've watched Bristol City a couple of times before. And normally, Deju goes on the diagonal and they hit him and get your knockdowns, go up behind the ball. That didn't really happen a lot and didn't really get him in the game. But Semenyo was the one who made the difference, I think, with a couple of runs. Obviously, the assist for the goal, which was it handball? No, I think if I was him, it'd be harsh to be given to me. But then Huddersfield changed their shape as well and went to 4-3-3. So, yeah, it was a bit of a strange game. I don't think there was a lot in the game, if I'm honest with you. There wasn't loads and loads of chances. I know Bristol City had one earlier on, but there wasn't loads of chances. Like Ben said, there was a mistake between the 2 defenders for the Huddersfield's goal, and it was a great ball in. There's nowhere else you could have put it to pick someone out. It was in that corridor of confusion between goalkeeper and defence, and it was a brilliant goal. I just think, subs can make a difference sometimes, and I thought they did for Bristol City, and maybe not as much for Huddersfield when they came on. But saying that, watching the game, I thought Bristol City were in control of the game without the ball. Huddersfield definitely had obviously the most possession and looked like the team, I wouldn't say likely to score, but the team that were trying to create something out of the game instead of playing counter-attack football. But, subs are there for a reason, and I thought they were the difference, really, if I'm honest with you.
Marcus mentioned it there, Ben. Obviously, there were appeals for handball for Bristol City's equaliser. What was your take on it? Because on social media, Huddersfield Town supporters seemed to be a little bit aggrieved.
No, I don't think so. Not for me, and especially in light of the law changing recently. I mean, Semenyo did really well to actually win the ball back with the tackle. And that was, that was just by the by. It was, I don't like using the word accidental, but there was no way that he actually gained an advantage from it. He made a clean tackle. And it's weird, really, that you actually see a goal in a game where two goals are absolutely identical. And he played exactly the same ball. And unfortunately, Mbenza, who made the goal like that in the first half, he went to sleep at the back post and allowed Jay Da Silva to nick in and score the equaliser. And it's little moments like that that do cost you. And he had a really good game, and he did work hard, and obviously was the instigator for the goal that Huddersfield scored. But it's when you get to deep in the game where your energy levels are dropping, but your concentration still has to stay. And at the back post there, which is invariably where people's concentration goes, he just went to sleep and allowed Jay Da Silva to nick in. And from then on in, I would say that Bristol City looked the most likely to go and score. Stewie's already mentioned the fact that the way they were playing with the 3-5-2, if you like, or the 5-3-2, whichever you want, it just wasn't working. They didn't have any control in the game whatsoever. So they sacrificed a defender to play to go back to a back four. And the players, as again Stewie's pointed out, when you bring players on, you want them to have an impact. And Semenyo, for the short time he was on the field, turned out to be one of the most productive, if not the best player of the game, I would say, because of the impact that he did have. And the second goal that Bristol City scored, disappointing from Huddersfield's point of view. There were so many opportunities for him to clear the ball. I think it was Patterson that played the ball back in. And there were 4 or 5 players around him, and nobody made a tackle. And I know you don't go diving in the box, but you have to be, as well as being compact, you have to be sort of spot on with when you go and engage the ball without giving away a penalty. And they did neither. They were caught between the devil and the deep. And it was Bristol City that in the last 15, 20 minutes looked the most likely to go and win. And disappointing, because Huddersfield in the first half thoroughly deserved to be in front and were well in control.
Is that where, for the second goal, Marcus, where you need someone just to kind of grab the game by a scruff of the neck almost and make that challenge or make the block or attempt to clear it instead of trying to shut down the spaces?
I think he needs someone to take control of the game, leadership out on the pitch. Schindler goes off. I know he's got loads of experience, but leadership out on the pitch for me kind of to control the game, because the manager can only say so much from the sidelines. It needs coaches on the pitch, and I think maybe with Schindler off the pitch might have made a difference. I know he changed 2 of the front 3. The guys looked a bit tired, if I'm honest with you. So rightfully so, he's not going to change the rest of the team. Maybe that might have been the difference. I mean, it was strange. Obviously, you had Bristol City changed to 4-3-3. And then Huddersfield kind of done the same to match them, which I found strange, because Huddersfield obviously played 3 at the back quite a lot, and I thought they would have stuck with that. But that seemed to kind of offset the momentum a little bit. So, all in all, I think the shape change didn't work. But maybe with the front 2 of the front 3 coming off for Huddersfield might have even made a difference, along with Schindler as well. But don't get me wrong, Bristol City were able to play counter-attack football and control the game without the ball. So Huddersfield took the game to them, if I'm honest with you. And maybe, like Ben said, the last 15 minutes of the game, Bristol City were the most likely looked like scoring, because you could see they were flooding the box and not really playing counter-attack football. They were playing in the opposition's half. But then it was obviously a lot more difficult for Huddersfield to get the pitch and then get players in the opposition box. So, yeah, it's cat and mouse. It's a tough one, especially when there's no crowd around to kind of get a feel for the game as a manager and a player in terms of what to do. They kind of help you sometimes. So, yeah, it's strange times to playing games like that. The only time I remember playing games like those was a pre-season game, or a training ground game behind closed doors. For these guys to have to play in that environment at the moment and get a gauge and a feel for the game, which you do as a player when you're on the pitch, I think it's quite tough, because I think things like that, apart from the manager and someone else on the pitch as a senior player, I think crowds can give you that kind of feel for what needs to be done next. And you know, those guys missing today might have made a difference.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, prior to obviously the 2 goals we conceded, and aside from the disappointing result in the end, I think, Ben, that in terms of passages of play, there was quite a lot to like in the first 60 minutes. Certain moves around the team, the control, the domination, especially towards the latter stages of the first half.
Yeah, I think I really like the look of O'Brien. I think he's got really good control of the football, and he's always looking to make things happen. Jonathan Hogg, you know what you're going to get with him. He's obviously, you know, sent somebody into the middle of next week with the challenge near the end. But do you know what? You need that, and it was accidental. I know that he's an honest player, Jonathan Hogg, but he's tough as well, and you do need a little bit of that. But yeah, Huddersfield have obviously got themselves some players there that can really excite this division. There's no 2 ways about it. And they've had some really good results. You know, winning away at Swansea was probably, you know, the highlight so far, if not what you've just done at Millwall. So absolutely more than capable of beating some of the, you know, the teams nearer to the top in this division. But I think when games that you get like tonight, where there are 2 teams that are very much cancelling each other out, it's just that little individual bit of brilliance that sometimes is going to unlock the door in a tight match. And unfortunately tonight, the way that Bristol City did it, they brought on Semenyo, and he was the difference. And on another occasion, it could definitely be any one of the Huddersfield players.
You mentioned Jonathan Hogg there. He's integral to this system, isn't he? In the role that he plays, just to break up play, to keep things moving, to drop deep, to start the build phase. He really fits into what Carlos Corberán wants to do here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way he played. There's a lot of balance in the team that I quite like. You know, you got a left-sided centre half, Schindler's right third, right-sided centre half. There's a lot of balance. You know, with Huggy holding there, you know, he just marshals in front of those back 3 and kind of lets the rest of the lads get on with it in terms of the lads in front of him. Brian works hard, don't get me wrong, but he's got a little bit more creative dribbling skill, that forward-thinking kind of player than Hogg is. So the balance of the team is quite good. You know, you've got his 2 wingers that are decent. You know, they supplied one got an assist, one got a goal tonight. Campbell down the middle is great. So for me, yeah, and I love Pippa, by the way. I do like him, the way he drives with the ball, energy, he sees a space, he attacks it. You know, whether it's inside or outside from his shot in the first half. I thought he marauded quite a lot in the first half. And when the space opened in the second half, Brian dribbling skills, seeing the space very similar to what Pippa does, straight down the middle and tries to create something. So it was a shame, really, that the game didn't stay as open as that, because I think Huddersfield would have ended up kind of counter-attacking, and a lot more attacking players would have got a lot more space. But as it happens, it's not like that. And City got the equaliser and their backs were up, and it was quite tough for them to break Bristol City down, purely because not just a 1-1 draw, but a 2-1 win for them. There were so many players recovering as quickly as they could to try and keep hold of that win, that it was very hard to not just break Bristol City down, but to then counter-attack on them because the recovery was so good.
And we've touched on, obviously, Huddersfield Town's goal already, but I just want to go a little bit more in depth with that, because it was a really slick move, wasn't it? Fraser Campbell playing it out wide to Isaac Mbenza. And it's all, for me, about that ball from Isaac Mbenza. It's not an easy ball to play, was it, Ben? But he put it right on Josh Corona.
No, it really wasn't, because there's all manner of things that could go wrong with it. It could go too close to the keeper. He could underhit it and it gets cut out. But he put exactly the right amount of weight on it and the right amount of curl just for, I forget who scored the goal now. Corona, yeah, to come in. And you know what? That's not always an easy thing to do. Stewie will tell you that. I didn't score enough goals, but Stewie definitely did. And he put it completely out of reach, and also making sure that he didn't edge ahead and run offside. When you're coming in from a wide position like that, it's always imperative that you keep yourself, and you're looking right along the line, and you keep yourself onside. And it was a brilliantly worked goal. Like I said, it was a fault from one of the Bristol City defenders. I think it was Rowe, and that space that he vacated allowed Fraser Campbell to quickly knock the ball into Mbenza's path, and he did all the hard work. But obviously it's no good that unless you're somebody there to finish it, and he finished it perfectly.
You'd have loved that, wouldn't you?
Sorry?
You'd have loved that service, wouldn't you?
I mean, well, I got off Ben, so I was pretty lucky. So I was all right. What I would say is, though, you know, from the time the two defenders made the mistake, there was 4 touches between the goal. The little touch around the corner with Campbell, set and spin, the one touch at his feet, another touch at his feet, and the cross in goal. So it's a touch at his feet, cross goal. Simple as that. It was done so quickly. And like you say, you know, you put it in that corridor of confusion, busting a gut to get in the box far post, and then the perfect finish is back where it come from. And it's exactly what happened. It was the perfect goal for that moment. I mean, it wasn't in terms of perfect, in terms of, you know, loads of creativity, but once the Mbenza was away, so not Mbenza, Corona was away, touch, cross goal. So, you know, I don't think everything went perfect to that moment.
What did you make of Huddersfield Town overall, Ben? Because I presume this is one of the first times that you've seen them under Carlos Corberán.
Yes, it is. It is, and obviously, every time that I see them, there are different players coming in. If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Pritchard tonight?
Pritch came off at half-time against Millwall at the weekend. He rolled his ankle.
All right, because I saw that he played in the game at Millwall. I didn't realise he'd come off.
He was very good again. Very good in that. Well,
yeah, I mean, somebody who will obviously, when he's fit again, will come back into the team. And I think Stewie's already said it. I think you've got really good balance. I think that you've shown that you can adapt to a system, although I do always feel as though, unless it's actually called for, that a manager just try and stick with one system so you get that repetitiveness and you're able to know the system that you're actually playing and what each other's jobs are. But yeah, Huddersfield have had all right, they've not had the best start, but this is the sort of division, and it's a little bit like the Premier League. One of my friends is a Coventry City fan, and I said to him on Friday, you never, Reading's run has to come to an end somewhere, and it's probably going to be when people least expect it to. And Reading, ended up being on the wrong side of a 3-2 defeat. So, Huddersfield have already beaten Millwall away. They've won at Swansea, and it just seems to be at the moment a little bit like what's happening with Man United. Is that they're struggling at home. They were 1-0 up against Preston. They were 1-0 up here today, and they were in cruise control. And that is something that obviously the manager will have to drill into the players about having the mentality to be able to look after leads and to be able to manage games. Even from half time, that is not a problem because you've still got 45 minutes to be able to do your stuff. And Huddersfield have got players that can score goals, but also to look after yourselves defensively and importantly, that you don't go conceding goals in the final minutes of games when it's too late to get back into them.
I mean, listening to the manager's previous interviews, I mean, he asked the players to find solutions on the pitch quite a lot and find solutions and work things out for themselves. So he's obviously getting trust within those players to be able to do that while he can't get the information across. So, there's obviously a lot of trust there. Obviously, they trust him as well. But, to lose the game, like Ben just said, go goals behind and lose points off the back of that is not too good. But there's a good balance in the team. I just feel, some good players in the team. And at one point tonight, they were 10th place in the live table. So I know they're not finished up that, but they're so close to 2 or 3 wins in this league gets you back in the playoffs hunt. And it's so easy to get that 2 or 3 win on the trot just as easy as it is to get the 2 or 3 losses like Bristol City have just had, and obviously 1-1 today. But it's so easy to do that. If you can be in with a shout, I would say come Christmas time, it's 10 games into the season now, in not a bad position, I would say, in terms of being able to go for a playoff place. Who knows what happens after that? Next 10 games are important, which will be after Christmas. And who knows where you are. I think if you're 10 points off top 2, top 3, you're in with a real good shot. If you're 15 points off top 2, top 3, you're still in with a really good shot of getting the playoffs. Just all it takes is a good run. It's so easy when you're a team that's kind of mid-table to top half of the table to lose 2 or 3. Huddersfield got to start winning 2 or 3 on the trot, 2 or 3 games on the trot, and they've got the team that can do that. There's an identity about the team from my point of view, and it just takes might have to take a little bit more time for those players to get that.
From a coaching point of view, Marcus, that it's just that transition, isn't it? Getting used to that style, like you say. The head coach has put a lot of trust in the players to find solutions to different problems on the pitch, because ultimately, when you are a head coach, there's only so much you can do from the touchline. It's just that transition, isn't it? And building those relationships and eventually growing together as a team, not just as staff and players.
No, it's not, and it does take a little bit of time. Like I say, we're 10 games into the season, and there can be. Someone always makes a late run. It's 1 or 2 teams from middle table to bottom half of the table, generally to the top half of the league. And I think Huddersfield have the potential to do that. There's no pressure to do it now. There's 30 odd games left. So, it's early days and there's good signs there. They look solid. I know tonight was a bit different in terms of, what happens, substitutions, game changes a bit. Game management, but over the course of the season, you're just hoping that after Christmas you can go on a good run, and I think potentially they can do that. There's no doubt about that.
That's the key thing, isn't it, Ben? In the Championship is trying to find that consistency in terms of performance, but all important results.
Yeah, obviously you want results, but as Stewie says, these relationships, there's no magic formula. They do have to be worked out, and along the way you'll hit a few bumps. And obviously with the start that Huddersfield have had, they've had that. I think is that the 50 feet now out of 10 games.
Yeah.
So there are teams that are better off, but there are obviously teams that are worse off as well. So if you can get that level of consistency, and the earlier you can get it, the better, then you do stand a better chance, obviously, as the season progresses, of not having to play too much catch up. And I agree with Stewie. If you can get into the Christmas run of fixtures and the team at the top of the division, whoever that may be, is only 10 or 12 points in front of you, then there is still such a long way to go in this division that I wouldn't be too worried at all. And if in the meantime they can get themselves into a position whereby they are looking strong and they are winning games, then they might not even need to worry about that, because I think this team, with the players that they've got and the balance we've already spoken about and the individual bits of quality that they've got, I can definitely see this team certainly challenging for a playoff spot.
I think you guys have kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of, it's only been 10 games this season. Yes, 4 wins, 1 draw, 5 defeats. But in terms of a new head coach coming in, a shorter pre-season, building those relationships, developing the style, the points return that we have had over that period, and like I say, just 10 games, has been good for the transition that the club has been making over this short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, yes, I agree with that. But if you think about it, there's 1 more game, is that correct? And then there's an international break?
Yeah.
So he would like that international break in a way, to give him a chance to actually work with the players, because at the moment, Saturday, Tuesday. It's relentless, And I remember when we had a normal season, you might have a Saturday, Tuesday, but then you'd have a Saturday break. You know, at the moment, it's just so relentless for everyone. Injury is going to make a difference. Being able to get your point across is going to make a difference. You're not going to get them on the training ground. You're not going to have time to get them on the training ground. It's literally finish one game, prepare for another one. Finish one game, prepare for another one. So it's very hard at the moment for Carlos to get his point across in a training ground environment because there's so many games going on. Now, I know we got an international break. I don't know how many the Huddersfield guys will be going away for that international break. Hopefully not too many, because that will give him a great chance to be able to embed a little bit more what he wants from the team. But that's this kind of season it's going to be now between now and the end of the season. But I'm hoping that, you know, he does get that, even a week or 2 week break in between games, like a Saturday, will give him so much chance to get his point across and start building relationships on the pitch between each players going forward. He needs that as well. He needs that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Marcus said, the schedule is relentless. Ben, just finally with you, obviously the next game before that international break is on Saturday. At least now there's more than kind of 1 day recovery and 1 day planning ready for Luton.
Yeah, it's and that's going to be another tough game because, you know, similar to yourselves, they've started the season really, really well, and from where they were last year, they've had a blistering start. So yeah, I agree with Stewart that the manager, it would be ideal for him to get that international break to be able to work with these players on the training field. And obviously they've got a little bit of leeway now before they play the next game on Saturday, with you playing on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. So I hope that it always makes any manager and any players feel better when they're coming into an international break and they've won a game, or certainly not lost a game. But when you come away and you've been beaten, it tends to dwell on your mind and it tends to take over. Whereas he'll have an opportunity, and the lads will be fresh. They'll be ready to listen, ready to learn, and hopefully they can do that coming off the back of a victory against Luton.
Absolutely, yeah. Fingers crossed. We get a better result against Luton Town. Ben, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll leave you two to catch up. Thank you.